Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ba'd. A reflection or two from the ayat that were recited in tonight's Taraweeh Salah. Towards the end of Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala mentions, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. That, O you who believe, be conscious of Allah, be aware of Allah, fear disappointing Allah, fear breaking the commands of Allah. وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. And speak in a manner that's fair, speak in a manner that's just, speak in a manner that's upright, speak in a manner that's understandable. Now, speech is of pivotal importance in Islam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, a big percentage of people will end up in the hellfire because of the ill discipline of their tongues. Because of the ill discipline of their tongues. Wars have been started because wrong words were spoken. Marriages have broken because wrong words have started. Many people say it's more difficult to overcome verbal abuse than it is to overcome physical abuse. Someone slapped you, he punched you, he kicked you. It's easier to forgive and forget than if he told you something that really hurt you. Than if he told you something that really, offended you. So, one is to be right, and the other is to say the right thing in the right way to the right person at the right time. To swear, that is clear cut, it's wrong. To insult, clear cut, wrong. To slander, to gossip, clear cut, wrong. You don't need too much of elaboration, it's wrong, full stop, period. But when you're right, there's also a right way of communicating your message and a wrong way of communicating your message. Allah says, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah." When you're calling people to Allah, to the path of Allah, there can be no greater truth than Allah. There can be no greater truth than the path of Allah. Yet Allah says, bil hikmah, use wisdom. Wal maw'idatil hasana, use good words. Good words. وَجَادِلْهُمْ, and if it comes to a debate and to an argument, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, then engage and interact and debate in a manner that is best. Not that it degenerates into abuse and insults and personalizing it and name calling it and highlighting personal issues and those kind of stuff. Even if you're right and the other person is wrong, there's a right way, there's a right time, and there's a right tone, there's a right place. You don't say the right thing at the wrong time. You don't say the right thing to the wrong person. You don't say the right thing in the wrong way. Someone did something wrong, you don't rebuke him in front of his children. You're insulting him. You don't do it in public. You tell him in private, right place. You speak to him softly, you speak to him kindly. The idea is not to tell a person off if he's wrong and you're right. The idea is to convince him so he can change. Many times we want to tell the person off because that makes us feel nice. It satiates the ego. So like I always say, I'm a very straightforward person now. I told him he doesn't like it, he must eat 2 rotis extra. His problem, not mine. That's against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's against the instruction of the Quran. Allah gives us the example of the great Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. I was saying in this afternoon's talk that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was not only a Nabi, he was Khalilullah. And his father was not only an ordinary mushrik, idol worshipper, his father used to sell idols. He used to carve idols and sell idols. He was the means of others worshipping idols. Yet look at how Ibrahim alayhi salam spoke to his father. Allah talks about it in the Quran. إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ, where he said to his father, Ya abati, O my beloved father. Here's a Nabi, the friend of Allah, speaking to a mushrik, an idol worshipper, one who sells idols. O my beloved father. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, أَنزِلُ النَّاسَ مَنَازِلَهُم. Treat people according to their status, according to their position. You may be more educated, but your father is your father. You may be a Moulana, but your grandfather is your grandfather. He doesn't know how to read Quran with tajweed, you know how to make tafsir. You know Arabic. أَنزِلُ النَّاسَ مَنَازِلَهُم. You got money now, but the seniors are still the seniors. Don't forget that. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, look at how he speaks to his father, so compassionately. My beloved father. Then he doesn't attack him. What's wrong with you? Where's your brains? Where's your common sense? How can you worship idols? He asks him so humbly. He puts a question to him. He makes his father think. Ya abati, O my beloved father, lima ta'budu ma la yasma'u wa la yubsiru wa la yughni anka shay'a. Why do you worship that which can't hear you, can't see you, can't help you in any way? Explain to me that. Try make sense of it to me. Then he tells his father, Ya abati, inni qad ja'ani min al-ilmi ma lam ya'tika fattabi'ni ahdika siratan sawiyya. Dad, I've received knowledge, revelation. Follow me so that you will be safe in this world as well as in the hereafter. Ya abati la ta'budi shaytan. Dad, don't worship the devil. That's going to take you to hell. Now look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. He did what he's supposed to do. He spoke to his father with respect. He spoke to his father with compassion. He spoke to his father with affection. Remember what I'm saying? Even if you're right and the other person is wrong, there's a right way of communicating the right message and there's a wrong way of communicating the right message. بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي أحسن. So after taking the best of approaches, my beloved father, and asking him a question rather than attacking him, his father responds in the worst of ways. أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم? Hey, you want to create problems between us and our idols? لئن لم تنتهي لأرجمنك وهجرني مليا. Listen, Ibrahim, you don't stop this here, I'll have you killed, I'll have you stoned. Now imagine your own father telling you he's going to have you killed. Many of us, we have the decorum to start off diplomatically and wisdom, but as soon as that person pushes our buttons, we say, no, now I'm fighting fire with fire. Yeah, I tried to speak to you nicely. I tried to speak, now I'll show you. But Ibrahim alayhi salam kept his calm. He kept his calm. He said, Salamun alayk. Okay then. Peace be upon you. سأستغفر لك ربي. I'll continue to ask Allah to forgive you. إنه كان بي حفيا. And Ibrahim alayhi salam left. He made hijrah from Iraq to Palestine. But he never degenerated to his father's level, even though he was speaking the ultimate truth, which is Tawheed. Today we have a view, he has a view, all of a sudden it's hurling of insults, name calling, directly or indirectly, insinuations, sarcasm, condescension. Where's that? Nowhere to be found in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I have not seen one hadith where Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sarcastic, or where Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to someone in a condescending manner. Yet we find justification for it. See, you've got to be diplomatic. You've got to be diplomatic even when the other person is being arrogant and the other person is being harsh with you. If you look at the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, right? And this is where I picked up the verse, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. From what was recited tonight, Allah is talking about Musa alayhi salam and a particular incident, la takunu kalladhina adaw Musa. When Musa alayhi salam comes back to Egypt, now as a Nabi, and he's making da'wah to Fir'aun. Now look at how Fir'aun, look at the language, And this is my whole message tonight, words. So Fir'aun says, وَفَعَلْتَ فَعْلَتَكَ الَّتِي فَعَلْتَ وَأَنْتَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Now Musa alayhi salam had that incident with the cock, before he went to Midian, where he struck him with no intention of killing him, but Musa alayhi salam had such strength that he killed him. So Fir'aun told him, you know what you did. You're so ungrateful, you grew up in my palace, now you come. So you know what you did. So look at how Musa alayhi salam responds. Fir'aun was now trying to stir the emotions of the people around him. But this is the same Musa who killed one of our people and ran away. So Musa alayhi salam responds, فَعَلْتُهَا إِذًا. Yes, it happened. I don't deny it. وَأَنَا مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. I was mistaken. فَفَرَرْتُ مِنْكُمْ لَمَّا خِفْتُكُمْ. And I thought you were going to kill me, so I had to leave. فَوَهَبَ لِي رَبِّي. But notwithstanding that, Allah granted me nubuwah. Right? Now, he then says to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, look at Musa alayhi salam then, look at how Musa alayhi salam responds. Having diplomatic language doesn't mean you must turn the other cheek. It doesn't mean you don't make your point, but it's how you make your point. So Musa alayhi salam says, وَتِلْكَ نِعْمَةٌ تَمُنُّهَا عَلَيَّ أَنْ عَبَّدْتَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. Pharaoh, I accept, I concede, I grew up in your palace, you brought me up. I concede that. But that is not a reason for you to continue to enslave the Bani Israel. He made his point, but in such a diplomatic way, in such a respectful way, that he avoided Fir'aun's trap, because Fir'aun was trying to get him into an altercation to motivate the people against him. Fir'aun was no ordinary fellow, he was an intelligent man, so he changes his tactic. He now says, فَمَا بَالُ الْقُرُونِ الْأُولَى. فَمَا بَالُ الْقُرُونِ الْأُولَى. He's trying to trap Musa alayhi salam. Okay, Musa, you say we must believe in one Allah. If we don't believe in one Allah, we're going to hell. If we believe in one Allah, then we're eligible for Jannah. Okay, tell us about our fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, all who died without believing in one Allah. Where are they? Now, in terms of aqidah, in terms of belief, there's only one answer. But now, if you tell someone your father is in hell, that person is not going to be receptive to your message. You tell him your grandfather is also joining your father there in hell. So look at Fir'aun, how in a very sly way, trying to trap Musa alayhi salam. He's trying to incite the people against him. These tactics are not new. They may be new mechanisms, but this propaganda is something that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam also dealt with. So Musa alayhi salam, and this is here again, words. You don't have to say everything, every time, to everyone, everywhere. Even what if you are saying is the truth. There is a difference between courage and not being strategic. Courage and strategy go hand in hand. Musa alayhi salam was courageous. He was courageous. Right? He went to Fir'aun and he gave him da'wah. He said, "Ilmuha inda Rabbi fi kitab." Listen, where your father or grandfather is, Allah knows best. So Musa alayhi salam did not contradict his own aqidah. Now, that attitude of ours, you have to tell it how it is. Not always. Not always. You've got to see the situation. Musa alayhi salam had a bigger picture in mind. He had a broader objective in mind. That I've got to turn these people against Fir'aun and make them see the beauty of Tawheed. I'm not going to fall into his trap. Bravado is courage without strategy. Islam advocates courage with strategy. See, when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam dug a trench, because the Muslims didn't have the weapons, they didn't have the ability to deal with the Confederates, the Ahzab, who were attacking them in this Surah Ahzab that was recited tonight. So what did Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Salman Farsi gave him the idea that, Ya Rasulullah, dig a trench, right? Now, when the Ahzab came, they couldn't enter Medina Munawwara because of the trench. So they tried to goad Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They said, "Oh Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this is not how Arabs fight. This is a sign of cowardice. We fight hand to hand, man to man, face to face. What is this? You dig a trench. Come. If you feel you're on haq, then come. Man to man, one on one, face to face." What did Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam do? He never went. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam never went. Because it was not the strategic thing to do. There's none of us who can be more brave than Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The strategic thing to do that time was to stay behind the trench. He never played their game, he played his own game. There was the army of Dawud alayhi salam, the army of Jalut, Goliath, right? So Jalut was this mountain of a man. Nobody was willing to take him on. But there was no way of getting Palestine and getting into Jerusalem without defeating Jalut and his army. So they had a rule that time, that if you agree that one person from this side and one person from that side go hand to hand, whoever wins, and that army is considered victorious. You don't have to fight any further. So Jalut was so confident. He was an experienced warrior, very strong. He said, "All right, come. Any one person ready to duel me, then the armies don't have to fight." Nobody stands up. Nobody but nobody, because he's a mountain of a man. You got this young man, Dawud alayhi salam, young boy at that time, teenager, he stands up. So the courage is there. But Dawud alayhi salam never went hand to hand with Jalut. We know what happened. He shot him from a distance, right? And he killed him. Why? Because I read recently, they say Jalut had poor eyesight, Goliath. He had poor eyesight. He had cataract. At that time there was no cataract operations. So he couldn't see properly. He carried on goading Dawud alayhi salam. Come, show me your bravery. Come. Dawud alayhi salam never responded. He stood exactly where he was, and when he realized this man can't see me, he took aim, shot him, killed him, and that was that. So there is a difference between bravado, bravery without strategy, and bravery with strategy. So when you couch your words diplomatically, it's not because you're scared, it's because you see the bigger picture. When you use soft words, it's not because you're afraid or you're intimidated, it's because you understand the instruction of the Quran, Ud'u ila sabili rabbik, and it's because you understand the sunnah of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. Today it's become a whole science, NLP training. I've been for it also. Neuro-linguistic programming, right? The whole thing is about using softer words to have a bigger impact. So they teach you, I'll give you 2-3 examples and conclude. They say, you can tell a person, start. It's very in your face, very aggressive. You may begin. Same thing, different effect. Did you do your work? I trust that your work is complete. You're asking a question. You're asking a question. Do this again. You may want to give this a second look. And the examples go on, they go on and go on, right? And all of this is in our deen. Look at the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam addressed issues. Never personalized. Ma balu aqwamin. What's wrong with people? What's wrong with people? Not what's wrong with him, what's wrong with them. What's wrong with people? Why do they do this? Why to do that? So train yourself. When a sahabi came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, Ya Rasulullah, man najah? What's the way to salvation? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Amlik alayka lisanak. Learn to control your tongue. Learn to control your tongue. Many great problems have been created by the misuse of the tongue, and many an intricate problem has been resolved by the good use of the tongue. And part of controlling the tongue is to learn to keep quiet also for lengthy periods of time. Because another sahabi asked Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam for advice, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Alayka bituli samti, alayka bituli samti." That learn to keep quiet for lengthy periods of time. You just don't have to speak every time. You don't have to have an opinion. In South Africa, they say you don't have to hoy your 5 bob everywhere. Meaning you don't have to put your 50 cents worth everywhere. You don't have to have an opinion on everything. Sometimes other people steal the show. Let them speak. You don't have to say everything everywhere all the time just to put yourself into the equation. It's not necessary. Every word that we speak, we will have to account before Allah. That's why when a student came one day to Imam Shafi'i, and I leave you with this incident, he said to Imam Shafi'i, I asked him a very basic question. Imam Shafi'i kept quiet for a long time and then he answered him. So when he left, Imam Shafi'i's student said, Ustad, we all know you know the answer. We know the answer. Such a basic question. Why you took so long to answer him? People will think you're not so hot, you know. You're not so strong in your knowledge. You took so long to figure out an answer to something so straightforward. So Imam Shafi'i said, I knew the answer, but I was asking myself, is it better for me to answer him or better for me to keep quiet? Then when I came to the conclusion it's better for me to answer him, I asked myself a question, the second question, what's the best way to answer him? What's the best way to answer him? Then I answered him. You see people of wisdom, they generally speak last, but they speak the best. May Allah grant us tawfiq.